Everybody's so
Well,
quiet.
good afternoon and welcome, those of you who have joined us. We are excited to be able to provide another one of our webinars for First Nations Launch. And this particular presentation is going to be hosted by Erin Ashley, one of our very own FNL administrative team members, and he is going to be discussing the preliminary design review development. And so really just going over what are the steps needed to compile, put together, submit a PDR that meets the standards for the program. And so hopefully able to help you successfully, you and your team successfully put that document together and have all the tools in your toolbox that you need. So with that being said, we are recording the webinar and we will have it available to you on the website. So in the meantime, Erin Ashley, who is the program assistant for First Nations Launch and also systems engineer from
Yes.
Raytheon missile technology. So welcome everybody. And Erin, I'm gonna let you go ahead and begin the program.
All right. Thanks, Christine. Well, welcome everyone. Can you guys hear me okay? I think I'm unmuted. Yeah.
We can,
So-
and everybody else should be muted as well.
So this is how I was going to break out today in three kind of bigger sections. So we'll start with high-level summary of it. So as I'm sure you guys all know, this is after the proposal and it's due January 25th, and it is leading to the next one, which is CDR, but it is more in depth than your proposal. And then there's a report and a virtual presentation. The report is more detailed and the virtual is basically the highlights and overview of your report in 10 minutes. And here are the links. So if we go to the handbook, which can be always found at the link here, go to the table of contents, program milestones, PDR. This is what the PDR report will be made of. And then, so the couple new sections, section 2, you'll write that last, but that summarizes what you put later. Section 3, how have you progressed in your design since your proposal, both in your rocket, vehicle, and payload, and your budget, timeline, stuff in your project plan. And then the big section, vehicle criteria, this is where you want to communicate to us what effort you've put in to designing your rocket or weighing different kit options, things like that. And we have it broken into separate subsystems. Things could still be undecided at PDR phase. And then the safety section still in there from proposal. And then your challenge section is separate from your vehicle. So that'll be a separate section here. And then project plan is basically the same as your proposal. And then this page just goes over the virtual presentation for after you make your report. And this is also due on January 25th. And then we provide you templates, sort of like proposal. So you can find those when you're ready. Right here, preliminary design review template. And these are pretty much bare bones. Like we want you to delete this box, put your school name there, and then the headers, like you can double click, edit that, put your school name down at the bottom, double click that, and then close the header, footer. But these follow along those same sections that I went through in the handbook. So like when you go to these, you can keep them bullet points if you want, but you can type your text in regular paragraph. And later I'll go through some, if you guys aren't familiar with features of Microsoft Word, or if you're curious to know that. But let's get back to this. So this is where your timetable comes in. So it's after the break and then before your CDR, and then we'll throw a few more webinars in there, but those are the times that you'll present your PDRs, report, and your presentations. And then the presentations, those will be scheduled based on judge availability, but it'll be the Monday through Thursday that week, and we'll work with everyone's schedules on that. And just wanted to highlight some things we've seen in the past few years. These aren't something you could do in a few hours. So just be aware of starting late it won't produce a good product worthy of good feedback to help you as well. And then we're always here to help if you don't understand what to put in your report or how to come up with something or do RockSim or what altimeter to use or stuff like that. So we're always here to help with you. And if that does come up when you're finishing your report, worst case scenario, you could always type in your problem in that section, or if you know you're waiting on come CDR when you do buy your parts, and if you're waiting on something to come in, like you can say that in your report so we know that's the case. And if you leave it blank, we'll just assume you didn't address it at all. At least if you put an explanation, you'll communicate to us that you've been addressing it, even if it's not finished. And then formatting, the Word features like adding headings, and when you insert pictures to add a figure caption. I'll have a slide later that can help you with that, but you can always email me if you have troubles maintaining the Word documents. And then it's always good to put more pictures than you think, like screenshots of your RockSim tables, if you're considering different altimeters or recovery system, maybe put a photo of it to help communicate it. And then here, I basically already did this, but just follow those links on the first page to where you can find everything meaning the handbook and templates. Oh, I guess I didn't do the virtual. So we'll go show you what the virtuals look like. So go to templates and then PDR virtual review. This is your 10-minute presentation. This is also a bare bones example. Are you guys able to see it? It says 2021 First Nations Launch PDR virtual presentation.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yep, I see.
Yeah, so you would just replace all this with your data from your reports, and probably the launch vehicle, you would put a screenshot of your RockSim design, or if you haven't done RockSim yet, a sketch of it. Some of your parameters here, maybe like a table is, just think about how to make it easiest to read, because these will go by pretty fast because you only have 10 minutes to come across this information. Same thing with your altimeter bay, dual deployment stuff, your batteries, stuff like that, you'll put there, and then all your parachutes and how fast it comes down with the parachute. And then these are where you'll put once you've ran simulations in RockSim, the output of the data, like how high did it go over time, how fast did it go, stuff like that. You'll put that here, and then detail your payload there. So that's what that looks like. Make sure that's closed. Yeah. So before we go on to the next section, can I ask you guys what different sections in the PDR did you see that's different from the proposal? Is anyone able to point that out to me? There's a lot of overlap. There are a few differences. Yeah, go ahead.
We're supposed to identify any changes or modifications we made to our design.
Yes, that is indeed a new section. Thanks, Andrea. So changes from previous is a new one, and the summary of your report, and then you can delete your facilities and equipment section, because you only need to tell us that once. That shouldn't change, like what tools and facilities you have available. And then as they go on, PDR, CR, FRR are going to be pretty similar. And then after you launch, it'll be a little bit shorter for the post-launch assessment. So any questions so far? I have a more detailed section coming up. All right, we'll move on for now. So preparing your PDR, some things you can do today, or maybe you've already started been thinking about your challenge and getting RockSim, becoming familiar with it. If you haven't obtained it yet, there's the information. Once you get a couple kit options or scratch build options for your airframe, run different motor combinations. I don't think you need to have the actual motor decide till like February or March. Anyone can correct me on that if I'm wrong, but start simulating different scenarios with those. And if you're not familiar with RockSim, there are lots of examples or sample rocket sim files that you can download to play with if you don't have your own yet, meaning your FNL one yet. And then we recommend to not purchase any rocket supplies until the CDR stage. But if you think you really need to, make sure to discuss with us. And then for your reports, these are kind of the changes that we expect from you from the proposal, that will have refined your design of your vehicle and payload, expanded your schedule, and then the safety section, expand that as well. But you can still have multiple choices, so nothing has to be firmly decided by PDR. That's why it's preliminary. But make sure you communicate all the work you've put in. Like if it's too short, sometimes it may come across as pretty lacking, or if there's not enough pictures. So just try to communicate in the equivalent amount of information that you worked on. And then formatting again, I'll get into that next, as I was saying a couple times before. So those templates I showed you, you can add any of those items, subsections with the headings. If you add an image, try to add a caption to it. I can show that in a little bit. And if you add images, or also called figures, try looking into a list of figures to go by the table of contents to help the judges reviewing your reports. And then appendices if needed, but just keep in mind that for PDR and I think CDR too, there's 40-page limit, and then I believe FRR and post launch are 25 pages. But just like for the safety section, if you have 100 pages of safety data sheets, you don't need to put all those in the report. You can just reference those or link to them, stuff like that. And I think I said that before. Just add images and add more sections. Like, don't just fill in one sentence for each bullet. Like, that's not what we intended. This is very much a bare minimum. And so this is where I'll kind of go into showing how to do figures and headings, stuff like that. So this is a screenshot of navigation pane. Now I'm on a Mac, but it's fairly similar for Windows. But I'm going to switch over to the Word page. So that this table of contents is a list of links. Like, if you hover over it, it kind of changes the color, and you can right click on it and update the fields. If you make any changes, and it should auto update. So like if you do team summary and add another word and go update the table, right click, update the field, update entire table, then it should, yeah, so it got my new table there. And then, navigation pane, that's just up here. We're on home right now. That's where you do the fonts and stuff like that. If you want to add a figure, like say you want to add a figure here, I'll just pull this one over from the PowerPoint. Paste that in and then highlight that, and then go to references up here. That's the ribbon that you use to insert a caption right here. So click that, give it a title, and then you can change any of these if you want, but click OK, it'll add it down there. You just add to, I'm gonna generate a list of figures after this just to show you how it works. So we'll add a second figure. So we have two figures with captions there, and then we'll go up to the table of contents and then just click under it. We'll add a separate list. And you can use this insert table of figures. So like, I think you have to type it first. And then click it. And then you have to choose. If you label it a table, you'll do it there. Figures, you probably won't need equations. So choose figure. And then right there, it lists your different figures, and then you should be able to click it and it'll jump to it. So that's how that should work. And then we'll go back to the presentation. Heading styles, that's for the table of contents. So like if you see up here, there's like for summary, there's 2, and then 2.1 and 2.2. Those are different levels of headings. And if you go to home, you'll see up here heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. That's your levels of heading. So if you want to add a subsection, say to your changes since proposal, say like if you want to add vehicle changes or something like that, and then click on that line and then go to heading 2, and it'll add that. And if you want to add text below it, it should be the normal caption. And if it's not, say like oops, I didn't want to make that. I want it to be normal text. Go back and click your normal, and that'll give it back to regular text like that. And these bullets, I believe the bullets are, I believe, normal, and then you have to initiate the bullet again. And then let's see, we did figure captions. Oh, and one I use a lot at my job is these references, or cross references, they're called. So like these 2 figures I added up here, I want to reference it down here, like, oh, back in figure 1, I said this. So like see the diagram in, and then you can put basically a link. So go back to references, cross-reference right here is what you want to do. And if you set it up correctly and hasn't been broken, you can choose any numbered item, heading, but in this case, I want to choose my figure. I want to reference figure 2. And if I leave it entire caption, it'll put C diagram in figure 2, and then the title, which I don't want. I want just the label and number. So oops, not that. Only label and number. That's generally what you do. And click insert only once, and then close. Where it's kind of weird like that. So there's your send. So you can click on that, and it'll link you back up to that. So that's something I'll use if you work in engineering. If not, it's fairly useful for putting together Word documents. Before we go on, does anyone have questions about formatting? Those things I went over.
I added the page limit lengths to the chat for you, Aaron.
Oh, thank you. Okay. One thing I wanted to have is to make sure you guys are listening. Does anyone want to demonstrate adding a figure, adding a caption, and then adding the list of tables? Or does anyone want to talk me through how to do it if you don't want to share your screen? Anyone? Just add a figure caption, and then add the list of figures. Oh, was I that bad at explaining?
Well, hopefully then, if anybody has questions or doesn't know how to do it, they will reach out to you because you did a great job of explaining it.
Yeah, I hate being called on, so I'm not going to pick on anyone. Yeah, so let us know if you guys have questions on how to do that. So we'll move on for now. I have one slide on best practices for the report and then one for the virtual. So this one is more kind of from a project management standpoint. Like when you're thinking of how to divide up your tasks, depending on how many people you have in your team, you may have these roles assigned. And that's a good way to divide up the different sections of the report. And then January 25th does seem kind of far away, but that's only about 6 weeks. So it'd just be a good idea to have an idea of what milestones you want to hit before January 25th, just to make sure you're able to get this together, as I know First Nations launch is not everyone's priority. So just to make sure you don't fall completely behind on it. This is just an example of something that you could follow. This by no means, this is just something I typed up in 5 minutes these week of this, do these sections, but you guys can come up with your own. Just don't wait till the last week and then you haven't done anything. That's basically what I'm communicating there. And then for the virtual presentation, as I said before, it's good to write the report first, just so you have all your details defined, because you really want to keep these slides fairly brief and highlight just the like pictures. I gave some examples there of stuff you can include, and tables or bullets, but tables you can put a little more information in one spot, but don't make things too small either, because well, we're all reading it on little screens and the judges will be as well. And we want all of you to present if possible, just because we think that's valuable to get that presentation experience. I know that I valued that when I was a student in FNL. I'm still working on my presentation skills, but that's more practice of that is always beneficial. And the last one there, that's just keeping in mind the virtual presentation is a unique opportunity to be live with all of our industry judges. So just if you have anything you wanted feedback on, just have a good idea of how you want to ask it coming into the virtual presentation, so we can, admin team and the judges can give you effective feedback in those few minutes. And then I believe we'll be moving on to some challenge guidance. So this one is from the kickoff. I know you guys are familiar with that. This as well, just to refresh your mind. But kind of defining it further, I guess. A lot of this is in your handbook, but I mean, Frank kind of talked to further define this, and Frank, you can jump in, or if anyone asks questions, he or I can help answer questions on this. But the flight anomaly, many things could go wrong, but for this competition, we're limiting it to the door and a hatch or door coming open, sliding open, stuff like that, so that you have to both implement a hatch or door opening safely and then implement a way to record it on your avionics payload, and then maybe video. The video can be of either. And then the nominal separation, that one isn't as confusing. It's mainly your whatever comes apart at apogee that lets the parachute out, an indication that actually happened. Just, and when things to keep in mind when you're figuring out what electronics or avionics you're going to use is, it should give an indication that everything is good at the start and not live. Like, we're not asking you to have a transmitter. Like, that's not part of this challenge at all. But we're talking about the data once you downloaded it at home after the recovery. It should show like good somehow, and then some indication like on a graph or something like that, that the hatch opened. It's like position 1 over time, and then position 2 or something like that is kind of what you want to give. Before I go into the rubrics, did anyone have any specific questions you wanted to ask at this
Yeah.
time?
So you mentioned that the hatch should open during the flight.
Yes.
Should that happen at the apogee, or it can happen at any point during the flight?
I believe it's during the ascent. Frank, are you
Ascent?
still on?
Okay.
'Cause
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, the hatch should happen just right at apogee and after apogee. Having a hatch open up during ascent under velocity may hamper the stability of the rocket.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
So
thank you.
apogee or
In addition, just making sure that the hatch opening is an option for an anomaly, that they have the ability to do any anomaly. Am I correct?
That's correct. You can have any other situation happen to the rocket as long as the rocket is stable. But let's say it brings the attention to the flight crew that there's an anomaly happening on the spacecraft.
yeah, thanks for that clarification. Does that
Thanks, Frank.
help at all?
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. No problem. Anyone else before we go on? You can always email us if you want. So the rubrics, this is the last thing I had. This is what the judges will be scoring you guys on. Actually, the tall one is what the judge will be scoring you guys on. So we won't take off for if you explain something but don't have it. So if you explain it well why you don't have it, we'll still give you full points for that. And then on the left, the shorter one, that's what Mark, Frank, and me will be scoring you guys. It's not much scoring, but just seeing if you've included these key parameters that we asked for in the handbook. And it's basically, did you include it or not? And that's how it's scored there. And that's basically all I had. Did anyone think of anything else they wanted to ask?
That was great, Erin. Thank you. Gave a lot of good tips, and let me start my video. There we go. You gave a lot of good tips, and went through various things of how-tos, etc. So that was awesome. We'll give just a moment for anybody if you have any questions regarding the PDR. You also may ask any questions about the challenge if you aren't understanding something in particular.
Are these slides available online?
We will be adding them if they are not already.
They are already online.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you,
Yep.
Danielle. So under tools,
Yep.
under tools and tips, you will find them. Okay, and then as soon as we
Show that tool.
get this downloaded, we'll also add the audio presentation.
Tools and tips, webinars. Oh, right here. You can find our slides right here.
And all the previous recordings are also up on the web now too.
Yeah, recording. Yeah, it's awesome.
Any other questions? Erin, do you want to scroll back to the calendar page, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
There.
All right, excellent. Thank you. So the next webinar is going to be next week. Do we have a time for that, team?
Yep. So the next webinar is next Thursday, so a week from today, and it's going to be covering RockSim. So Mark is going to be walking you all through that, and it is at 2 p.m. Central Time. So that's on the calendar online, and there'll also be, email reminders, social media reminders everywhere.
Thank you, Danielle. Appreciate that. So any questions that you guys have on RockSim? I know I've received a few emails of how do we get our, license, or because we have to have our institution purchase them, or, various things. So making sure that you go to Apogee Rockets and that you are looking for the TARC version, TARC, and your TARC number is your award letter number. So if you are, let's just say FNL 21 _1.0, and that is what will allow your school to receive the that license at $20. Okay. Okay. And back to, my apologies, back to the calendar. And thank you for playing along here with me, Erin. That's great. All right, perfect.
Question, are
Yes.
those page limits with the safety sheets?
Erin?
I was going to let you answer that.
Oh, great.
believe
Sorry.
that?
I believe the
Oh.
handbook says it does not include appendices.
Excellent. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you. You just did the last update on those, so appreciate that. So we'll have the avionics and RockSim for December 10th, and then on the 12th, we're looking at that altimeter webinar. So again, providing some more specific examples and opportunities for some interaction, and being able to, if you don't know those processes of how to implement them in your design phase, our team's here to be able to assist you. So also, I know for many of the new teams, I do want to reiterate, we have tried to partner your advisor with a seasoned advisor from another school. So that partnership is for the advisors. So if the advisors, if you have a question and something's not making sense, they will be a great resource for you. For our team members, our students, really want you reaching out to Frank and Erin for those technical questions. Frank really for the technical, Erin for the report, and they're going to be able to assist you within the in the next several weeks and months to come. So with that, also flight demo. So those the rockets have been ordered and the motors have been ordered. We're just waiting for them to be delivered. Once they are delivered, we will be sending them out to your schools because those have a January 20, or let me rephrase that. We will be sending them out to the individual that Connie has, I think Connie has been in contact with the advisors to find out where we're sending that rocket. We understand that during COVID, you may not all be able to gather to be able to do that launch. So the recommendation is for at least one person, of course, to do the launch, video it. You know, if 2 or more, keep your social distance, whatever rules are in effect at your campus, in your community. If you have to choose somebody on the team to do that, we suggest that an individual who's never participated in rocketry be that individual, or for our seasoned teams, a new member. And the real purpose of that flight demo is so that everybody, that people begin getting the idea of what it takes to put together a rocket on a small scale so that you're better prepared for the large scale. So with that being said, if there are no further questions, we are going to end this meeting. So one last opportunity. All righty. Thank you, everybody. We greatly appreciate your attendance. Erin, thank you so much for your presentation. Good job. I see you're getting claps from Tyler. And we look forward to seeing everyone on the next webinar. I'm going to be stopping the
you.
recording.